Hi, I'm Ben Doughty for Boxing Evolution TV. I'll be talking about the weekend that was and the weekend that will be.
Pushing his left arm out straight and locking it out.
Oh, caught by the left hook and the right. Responded with a couple of big shots of his own.
Now, a lot of people have suggested that both Julio Diaz and Martin Murray were the victims of hometown decisions last Saturday night. Personally, I think that's overstating the case in each particular case. I think even Julio Diaz, by his own admission on Saturday night, believes he didn't do enough work and simply lost too many rounds, and that's how you lose a boxing match. Diaz is a solid world-class performer. He came to win. He wasn't the least bit intimidated by the crowd. He had his moments. Khan looked dreadfully vulnerable, as, let's face it, he often does at this level. But I don't think that he has a solid argument that he won the fight, and by his own admission, he doesn't think so either. We are always hearing about the new improved version of this fighter or that fighter when he gets with a new high-profile trainer. In this case, having moved from Freddie Roach to Virgil Hunter. I'm not utterly convinced at this moment that this is a new and improved Amir Khan. I simply don't think his ring IQ is too sharp. Amir's gifts are his athleticism, his phenomenal hand speed and variety, his instincts and his big heart. His vulnerabilities obviously is his chin, the way he holds a shot, but some of the things he does are just not too clever. Vladimir Klitschko knows his chin's made of fine as porcelain. He's adapted over the years. He's very clever, he's very savvy. Amir, the one thing I did notice, not quite so gung-ho when he gets caught, when he gets tagged anymore, was standing off a little bit more. Like, obviously he's boxing to orders, he's been told to do that, but I quite simply can't see Amir necessarily winning another world title. And if he does happen to do that, which he might do, if, having been gifted an opportunity to fight the winner of the tournament featuring Matisse and the rest of those guys, I simply can't see him holding it long before he gets knocked out. I'm sorry, Amir.
And Diaz is looking for him. He's closer than anybody, and he'll have sensed it as well.
Which brings me to the goings on in Argentina. It's a rare occasion, but I'm going to disagree with my brother Spencer Fear on this one. He's not really my brother. I think a lot of you have probably already figured that out. Spencer said on Toe to Toe, wonderful programme with Ed Robinson, wonder where they got that idea from, that his 100% prediction record is still intact because he predicted a Murray win and that Murray was robbed. For me, Murray had a great game plan, and I think he was right to counterpunch with the tight guard and not go to Martinez. The trouble is, I do think he was too conservative, despite the knockdown, the early knockdown and the disputed incident in round 10 when he was denied a knockdown. I think his efforts were a little bit too conservative to be crying robbery. Martinez is definitely on the slide. The way he fights, that kind of relies on reflexes, is an unorthodox style. Inevitably, that is not the kind of style that sees you well into your dotage a la Bernard Hopkins. And one other thing while I'm talking about it, nobody loves flair and braggadocio as much as me, but Martinez's posing and posturing even annoys me. I think there's something obtrusive about it. I can't put my finger on it, but it's not the kind of effortless finesse that we'd see from the likes of Michael Nunn and Sugar Ray Leonard. I think what Murray's proven is that a loss in a world title fight, a dangerous world title fight, a tough world title fight away from home, it doesn't have to be the end. He did himself proud. Whether you think he did win the fight or whether you think he was narrowly picked, I think he's very well placed to go into big fights further from here. We've got a massively packed domestic middleweight division with the likes of Darren Barker and Matthew Macklin around. Obviously Matthew Macklin's got the big shot coming up against Gennady Golovkin. Barker was talking about fighting Chavez Jr. But I wouldn't like them to see them avoid each other forever. We want to have these big domestic fights. It's sometimes been said that Frank Warren's forte is to get his fighters, the ones that are left anyhow, a world title shot and home ground that they can win. Some might say that Eddie Hearn recently, with the likes of Gavin Rees and with Martin Murray, has specialised in getting his fighters difficult title shots away from home which they can't win. For what it's worth, I like the matchroom ethos of accepting the big fights. I hope they're getting well remunerated. And really, fellas, it doesn't have to be the end. Someone's O can go, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing. This is boxing.
I'll give it to you toe to toe, however you want it. Tell me how you want it. How you want it.
However you want it.
Tell me how you want it.
Well, let's do it toe to toe.
However you want it. That's how I'm going to give it to you.
You guys heard that? Toe to toe.
Yes, it's that time of year again when Floyd Mayweather sees fit to bestow his genius upon us. And we're very grateful, Floyd.
The biggest in sports, you heard it. Easy work. Easy work. Nobody can fight for you.
I'm going to stick my neck out right now. This fight will not be competitive and will not hold any surprises. The only reason Mayweather has agreed to fight Guerrero is because he knows that Guerrero doesn't present a great threat, and he knows that his style beats Guerrero's style 10 times out of 10. That is the only reason, unfortunately, that Floyd has fought anybody, despite his brilliance, since he came back in 2009. His last live test, when all the bases were loaded, even though I'm sure he was extremely confident, was against Ricky Hatton. So some people have suggested that Floyd doesn't, is not so comfortable with the southpaw stance. The basis for this, in fact, is the Zab Judah fight. And yes, if you look at the early rounds, the first 4 rounds, Zab Judah did give Floyd a little bit of trouble, a modicum of trouble before Floyd adjusted, and Zab faded in the mid-rounds down the stretch, and it became more or less a straightforward affair. But even if Judah and his port-side stance did bother Floyd, Zab Judah is a completely different southpaw to Robert Guerrero. If you look at Guerrero's last fight against Andre Berto, who was doing somewhat the kind of karaoke Mayweather shoulder roll impression, just vastly less effectively, I picture that same kind of rough and tumble offensive from Guerrero against Floyd, and I can't see it, honest to God, and I'd like to be wrong. I like an exciting fight and an unpredictable result as much as the next man, but I can't see this fight unfolding as anything other than relative target practice for Floyd, and that's no disrespect to a very fine fighter in Robert Guerrero. People say to me, when the Floyd massive say to me, well, who should he fight? You know, who would you like to see him fight? Nobody's ever happy, no matter who he fights. Well, the name's been thrown out there enough times. I would like to see him fight Saul Alvarez. Certainly, some people are of the view that Austin Trout deserved the nod against Canelo. Watching it in the small hours of the morning live, I was actually one of those people. I was watching it with the sound down. I haven't watched it since, but regardless, some people, based on the evidence, are saying, well, this would be absolute target practice and another easy night for Floyd. That might be true, but what I would say is that at least Alvarez is a big, undefeated, young, hungry fighter who will believe in himself and will believe he can beat Floyd Mayweather. Not saying that Robert Guerrero doesn't, of course. But Alvarez is not a one-dimensional, flat-footed fighter, as he showed, regardless of what you thought of the verdict in the Trout fight. And that is a fight that will get my juices flowing in the way this one doesn't. Although, of course, you know I will tune in.